So let's begin talking about consumer preferences. The first two assumptions we're going to make about consumer preferences are that consumers can choose between different bundles and that they are also consistent between those bundles. The first assumption that the consumer can actually choose is called the completeness assumption. And it basically said if the consumer has a choice between, let's say, bundle A that has 4 units of good X and 2 units of good Y, and another bundle, it's called a bundle B, that have 1 unit of good X and 1 unit of good Y, the consumer is going to be able to choose between those bundles, which of those two bundles the consumer like and which one the consumer will consume. It seems like a pretty basic assumption, but in fact it's actually very important because it would allow us to create some kind of diagram about consumer preferences. This assumption, some economists actually call the Bourdieuian ass assumption, because there's a tale about a donkey that was had to choose between two different piles of food, and he was not able to choose, and therefore basically starved to death. What economists are saying here with this assumption is that people are rational, they know what they like, and they can actually choose what they like. They will not go hungry because they cannot choose. Very basic assumption. The second assumption is also very basic. It says that the consumers are in fact consistent on their choices. Let's say basically said that if the consumer likes choice A to choice B, then the consumer must also like choice B to choice C. For instance, if the consumer has a choice between bundle A with 4x and 2y and bundle B with 1x and 1y, and if the consumer tells you that he likes A rather than B, then the consumer must also like B rather than C, that could have something like no x and 1y. So the transitivity assumption basically assumes that the consumer is consistent on their choices, and they actually gonna be choosing things in that way. So we are now gonna apply some graph and some math to these two assumptions to see what are the effects these two assumptions have on drawing a graphical representation of consumer preferences.